Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you everyone for taking out time today. My name is Zishan. I take care of digital marketing at Utunga. We welcome everyone to the webinar Accelerate Your Test Automation Process with Latest Tools. In today's webinar, we will be sharing information on pros and cons of latest test automation tools available and help you in adopting best practices for test automation. Before we get started, I would like to take a couple of minutes to introduce Utunga. Next slide. We are a product engineering and industrial solutions company. For over 14 years, we have partnered closely with industrial OEMs to build products and solutions from concept all the way through the lifecycle of the product. Our engineers have added digital layers to mechanical, non-digital field devices, built configuration and calibration software, highly sophisticated data integration, visualization and analytics solutions, provided consultation and services on industrial security and quality engineering. We offer services in application development, embedded services, IIoT, and verification and validation. Our services are targeted to OEMs and end industries in process, factory, and power domains. We follow a strict and secure development lifecycle for all our projects. Next slide. Utunga is present in 4 different locations. We have offices in USA, Germany, Japan, and in India as headquarters. We are an ISO 9001 and 27001 certified company with 500 plus engineering professionals striving to deliver world-class solutions and services to our customers. Next slide. These are the few industrial consortiums we closely work with on connectivity and protocols. Industrial connectivity is a foundation for Industry 4.0, and that's how we started as a company about 14 years ago. That is connecting field devices and assets to hardware and software systems up in the value chain. Our association with these consortiums is rooted in our commitment to help our customers build interoperable industrial systems. Next slide. With that, I would like to introduce the speaker for today. Nandan is an expert software architect with over 12 years of experience in testing landscape, and is internally known as sign-off gatekeeper because he delivers zero impacting business impact and bugs-free softwares. He's proficient in performance testing, test automation framework development for web applications, mobile, and backend automation. He is passionate about new technologies and quality innovations with a proven track record in Oracle, Cisco, and SAP Labs. Just a quick housekeeping points before we get started. The duration of the webinar is 60 minutes. We will utilize the last 10 minutes of the webinar for Q&A segment. Please send in your questions using the Q&A icon on your left-hand side of your screen. The presentation slides and the link of the webinar recording will be emailed to you post the webinar. Request you to click on the full screen icon on the top right side of your screen to get good view of the slides. Before I hand it over to Nandan, let's have a poll for 30 seconds. Request the attendees to please select their options. What type of test automation coverage isn't in your place in your organization? Unit testing, integration testing, E2E testing. Thank you for your answers. So majority of our audience have selected the option. We have a mixed set actually. So majority have selected integration testing. Thank you for your answers. Without further ado, I'm handing over to Nandan, your speaker for today.
Hey, thanks, Ishan. Warm welcome to all the people who have joined the webinar for this session today. So I'll just walk you through the agenda in a short span of time. So what are we covering today? So we'll be just touch basing upon some of the things, and few things will be going in detail. So why do we actually automate? What are the case studies which helped us improve our process? Is some of the experiences that we would like to share, and challenges in general we face with test automation. So why do we do unit testing? Why do we do integration testing, E2E, and some of the proprietary tools and open source tools that are actually changing the way the test automation world looks, and how the whole thing improves our release cycle. Okay, without much delay, let me begin. Okay, so this is the question that most of us have faced, whoever has suggested in their teams that they want to automate this feature. Why is it that we have to convince people for actually to automate something? That is because we have to show some ROI for the time we invest, right? So why do we actually automate? So to answer that question, precisely there was a survey done, and out of 284 companies in the survey which participated, 85% of the companies still rely on manual execution, and 15% were the ones who are actually dependent on automation. So I think that is a vast difference when you look at it, because automation testing is not here to replace functional testing. Let me put it clearly, well and upfront. So why do we actually automate? So the reason for automating is to achieve some stability, increase the coverage. Yes, definitely save the time, which is very precious. Confirm adherence to specifications. So there are occasions we miss out on the minute things that are present in our requirement spec. So to make sure that those minute things are in place, we should automate. To perform regression test execution, improve the confidence level on application under test, and to meet the release timeline. Okay, so let me explain how all these things work together. So when we start automating something, how does that start adding value? It actually adds value only if it saves time. It actually adds value to your functional team if they don't work on the same repetitive stuff again and again, and put their best effort for exploratory testing, which is much required from a functional point of view. The things that we can automate and things which can be automated easily and which don't break often should be automated always, right? Because there is no point in utilizing your smart resources in working on some mundane stuff. So that is the answer we have for actually why we automate testing. Even after taking care of all these points, we tend to fail with automation, right? That is the reason why 85% of the companies still prefer having functional testing ahead of automation. So why does automation fail? What might be the reason? Well, there are plenty of reasons for it. One is uh, the tools that we tend to use for our automation are sometimes not open source, or let me put it with, they are proprietary tools which are on a higher side when it comes to investment from the company's point of view. That is one. But having said that, there are companies who are willing to invest on proprietary tools as well, as long as they are adding value addition. So one aspect is a return on investment, not only from the tools point of view and also from the resource point of view as well. We have to spend considerable amount of resource time as well to automate something. In return, if the results are not as per the expectation, it's a failure. That is what is happening in most of the cases. The 85% which we are talking about are not the people who have not tried automation. They would have definitely tried automation at some point of time, but not successfully, right? So what are other failure reasons we would like to know is one, no emphasis on refactoring, right? We try to use the same tool for all the purpose, right? There is one common thing that you would have observed many people. If there is a web application, they start saying, let's use Selenium and automate the UI, right? But if we have some people in the audience who would have worked on multiple development stacks of different development stacks other than JavaScript, within JavaScript, again, Angular, React, and things like that, they would tend to disagree because there are many other tools which work better than Selenium, right? Nothing against Selenium, but I just gave you an example. You can't use Selenium for your API testing. You can't use Selenium for your performance. On the same lines, you can't use Cypress for usability testing or whatever it is. So every tool will be meant for a specific purpose, and we have to make sure that we identify and we use the right tool for the right purpose. We fail to understand the context of the automation as well. There is no point in automating everything. You should have a suitable set, should identify the use cases that are suitable for automation and invest time on it so that the return are uh, are as per the expectation. So these are the things that actually lead to the failure of automation, and it is good we understand why we fail with automation before we jump into automation. So having said that, I'll just walk you through some of the use cases which we at Utunga have handled successfully. But let's go through some of the problem statements for which we had to bring in a proper process to provide them a satisfactory solution. All right. So there is one industrial automation solutions providing firm who was our client and facing difficulties in working with safety system which had multiple versions released in different programming languages. There were some constraint while providing solution for this client, as he was willing to go for open source tool. So we had to check out all the open source tools that are available in the market to suit his uh, requirement, his platform, and use cases that we were supposed to automate for this particular setup, which had a device interface as well, sorry, device dependency as well. And the device used to communicate through a communication gateway with the desktop application. So here the challenge was identify the right tool for automating the use cases that the client was expecting us to do. So we faced challenges in choosing the right automation tool, also the scripting language that the tool supports and things like that. So we had to implement some of the best practices to handle the use cases and the problem statement that was defined over here. Moving on to another use case. So this was again a web application for predictive analysis, control, and optimization of the plan. This is again from a industrial automation uh, client with a web application in place. The app's flexible and scalable solution, which should be capable of addressing process-specific issues. So even though it was a web application, we had to implement uh, test automation. Along with that, we had to implement CI/CD as well because he was having too many releases, and uh, since the releases are happening in shorter duration, they wanted to have a faster release. To have a faster release, it is good we automate as many use cases are possible to provide that amount of confidence for him to go for a release. Another use case was wherein we faced was the application was available as desktop, as a web application, and also on mobile. So they had a solution previously implemented, which was using different tools for uh, different platforms, right? So they wanted to have a common platform, and they were willing to go for a proprietary tool. So as I said, some clients are always going for uh, from a performance mindset. So they wouldn't mind to invest on tools as long as the job is done. So we had one such client who was willing to have a common platform across desktop, web, and mobile for productive output. So we had suggested some tools, and out of which he had chosen Test Complete back then. So this is one such use case where we handled a customer with a different perspective with respect to test automation across platforms. So having said that, what are the challenges that we generally face or see in all these use cases? let's discuss some of the challenges for test automation in general. I have repeated myself during this presentation about tool selection, right? The reason for saying the same point again and again is because it's very, very important, right? We can't the wrong tool for a wrong for the right application. So that is the reason we have to be careful while choosing our tools. Then identifying the feasible test cases. Having some 30 use cases, automated and all running is important, and executing in CI/CD is the paramount of importance, right? Rather than having 300 tests out of which 50 or 60 pass, whereas the rest of the things are flaky. We have to go on maintaining the scripts again and again. So which is actually a painful point for any person involved in test automation, because this is a common aspect that happens everywhere. Exponentially increasing the test cases without any test coverage is another point. So there should be always value addition for the test that you add, right? So if there is a feature which has already been covered through test automation with a different script, writing another script in a different manner just to make sure that we increase the number of test cases won't help uh, anyone in the process. So it is always good you write minimum number of threads, but stable tests which pass all the time, right? So if you are working in a UI setup, you would have seen people struggling to handle changes in locators time and again. So it is time that we demand and request the development team to have a separate attribute where we for a test ID itself. So nobody updates or changes the test ID for the elements, right? So this is something that we have to bring in as a practice upfront when the development is in progress, right? We shouldn't be going and asking them in between saying that I want this locator for this particular button, this particular tab, or this particular menu, right? So we have to ask them upfront and ask them maintain a test ID for all the UI elements, so that it will be easy for us and it won't change in future. Execution speed is important, so that is also another aspect. So if the tool is slow in execution and it is taking a lot of time to execute, and that leads to some flaky tests, it is not advisable to go for such tools. Then comes the debugging and the documentation tools and community support. It is good if you are going for an open source tool. It's always good. I don't say no, because you'll always have a lot of community support. And the documentation of the tools may not be up to mark, but some tools have a very good documentation as well. But if the community support is good, we can always go for it if it is meeting our demands for the use case. Debugging is one more important aspect. We should always make sure that the tool has a good debugging capability. Supports cross-browser, multi-tabs, and frames if it's a web application under test. So these are some of the terms that you will be familiar if you're from the web application world. User simulation fidelity, like you should have a simulation environment. Like if you are working in, say, environment wherein the data keeps changing time and again, it is good we have a simulation setup wherein you'll be able to validate the data as well, not only the visibility part of the data, also the exact data as well. So it is always good to have the simulation environment with the data which is constant for you to test as well. That is also a point which you can always request. Then comes the stability. Make sure that you write stable tests. No point in having too many tests, as I said. Then comes parallel and grid infrastructure. When we say parallel execution, initially when you start your automation, the number of tests that you will be having and the number of tests that you will be working with will be always a smaller subset, right? Initially it will be 15, 20 tests, then 30. It keeps on increasing, right? So then comes the need of parallel execution, because to promote the build, the time taken will be more every time you start adding a new test. But you can't say that we can't stop our automation as well. So what can we do? We can only improve if we start executing our tests in parallel. So this is one important thing that you have to always have to keep a note of. It is good to execute your tests in parallel mode. So it reduces the overall execution of the build pipeline and also the test pipeline. Authoring speed, yeah, this is a challenge for every team. Every team member may not be comfortable working in a particular programming language. That is when we have to hit the balance. You should understand how much a particular tool is required for the use case and how much is it dependent on the expertise of the resources that will be working on it. So if the resources are not comfortable with a particular tool, but the tool is very good, we have to find a way to get a knowledge transfer of a particular coding language or programming language so that they become more productive and start adding scripts at a better pace. So this is something which comes to the planning part, but also one of the challenges that you would face. Moving on, after handling all these challenges, are how do you like to have your test automation planned? Like, you have to split your tests across the test pyramid that we have, something like this. So this is the standard that is being followed right now with Agile in place. This is something which is gaining popularity, and many companies have already brought this process into incorporation. So we always tend to split our test automation into unit, integration, and E2E. Uh, so as the picture depicts, your unit tests are faster, your E2E tests are slower for a reason. You will be testing a part of the application in unit test. You'll be integrating multiple of units to test at integration level. But at E2E level, you will be checking it as a whole application. So that is the reason why it is slow, and that is the reason why unit tests are faster. Having said that, each level has its own set of tools that add value, right? So in one of the use cases which I showed over there, the security appliance which we had to work on, they were more interested from the integration and E2E point of automation. So we at Utunga actually brainstorm and understood what are the test cases that should fall to integration, what should fall to E2E. That is how we planned across and brought some change into it. Now, moving on, let's talk in detail about each level of testing and some of the popular tools in each level that will be beneficial for all. So let's start with unit testing. All right. So why do we actually do unit testing? So what are the popular frameworks that we already have in place, and how helpful are they? So there is a there is a there is a understanding that unit testing has to be done by the developers only, but things are changing fast. If QA automation people only say that we'll be only part of integration and E2E, we will be left behind. So it is time to pull up your socks and add value wherever and whenever required. So unit testing is one area where we can always contribute to understand application better at the initial stage, and also it will improve your coding skill, which can be helpful at later stages. So why do we do unit testing? So it helps you in early detection of issues, avoids regression early, and also it's cost effective solution. Imagine a bug which can be caught at a early stage and is let out, and it reaches and it gets caught at the final stage. The amount of time that we have to spend to fix that is a lot more than if it is caught and fixed at an early stage of unit testing. So it is very important that if it is a TDD approach followed by the development team, they will be writing their unit tests. But if there is a scope for your QA automation team to contribute for the unit testing, it is well and good. It's time we start contributing to unit test frameworks as well. So what are the popular unit test frameworks that we have? We have Jest, Mocha, and Jasmine. Mocha and Jasmine are pretty old, and they have been in market for a long time now. These are all from the JavaScript test framework that I'm talking about. Jest is very popular these days. So I just thought I'll pick up some of the important aspects of Jest and discuss it over here. So let's move on to Jest. Okay, so Jest is a unit testing tool. It is beyond unit testing, I would say. You can also write many E2E use cases as well with Jest. So it's a very good tool, a Node.js based out tool. Uh, Easy setup. The commands, the basic commands that I mentioned over there, does all the installation for you, and the execution speed is very good. It's one store for everything, is what they say. You can do unit testing, component testing, and also write E2E testing as well. Just that the level of programming required is slightly higher compared to what we generally have for automation tools like Selenium, Protractor, or whatever it is. It requires a little bit more understanding because I'm not saying it is complex, but to actually leverage the positives of the tool, you require to know more from the coding aspect, but which is always good for any programming individual. Then we have some important features like the watch feature, the test coverage reports feature, and the mocking. So watch feature will keep a watch on the changes that happens, and as soon as some change happens, it automatically triggers the test to make sure that uh, nothing is broken in the application. Then we have the test coverage part. So the test coverage part is important from knowing how much of coverage is happening for the test that we are contributing. So this gives you an overall picture whether we are actually uh, covering the application from the test coverage point of view and moving in right direction. So it is just to make sure that every test should add value. If it is not, there is no point in adding. Then comes the extensive mocking part. So mocking is something that we try to mock when the original doesn't exist in the layman terms, right? So instead of depending on some development to happen, it is always good that you mock some things and go ahead and write your tests. Uh, once the thing is supposed to be developed is in place, you can always test it uh, uh, against the feature. But as long as it's not available, or if there is uh, some API or uh, some required development bit is not available or not in place, you can always mock that part of the test and come up with your test script so that you can make sure that you are making sure that you are testing that feature which is yet to complete through mocking. Then one of the important concepts of Jest is snapshot testing. Snapshot testing should not be confused with visual regression testing. I'll explain you in the end. So when we say snapshot, what do we mean? So snapshot is not the actual snapshot of your application; it is the snapshot of your code. So snapshot are actually the files that get generated at the unit test level. When you write a unit test for a particular component, uh, a snapshot file gets generated for that particular component, which has to be pushed along with your uh, test commits with your code. So when the test gets executed, uh, the snapshot that gets generated at that point of time will be compared with the reference snapshot which you have pushed along with your test. So if there is any mismatch between the snapshot files, the code snapshot files, the test will fail that point of time. So these add value to the regression things which we spoke about earlier, right? It will be always helpful. So descriptive name should be given to the snapshot so that you understand what was the snapshot that you have defined for a particular test. So when we say visual regression testing talks about the actual UI snapshot, which has been employed by many test automation tools, wherein you send the reference image, and also when you use the particular tool, it captures the image of the application at that point of time and compares the reference image. So snapshot testing in just talks about code snapshot. Visual regression talks about the actual UI itself. From that, I'll move on to the next level. It is the integration testing level. So After unit testing, the next important testing that one should have in place is integration testing. So why do we actually do integration testing? So it is language independent, as the data is exchanged via various formats like XML, JSON, making it independent of any language. It is not dependent on the UI. So if there are some APIs to be tested, you can always start early, get the feedback, and detect the issues at early stage. Again, it adds value for the improved test coverage. The things which were working at unit level might break at integration level, and you will be at a very uh, early chance of catching the issues and improving the software release cycle in the process, right? So integration testing actually happens at that layer of the application, which is called the business layer, where most of the action happens, right? So you have the presentation layer, you have the business layer, and you have the data layer. So API testing actually is performed at the most critical layer, that is the business, in which the business logic processing is carried out and all transaction between the user interface and database layer happen. So that is a very important aspect which has to be covered, and which we did for the predictive analysis use case which we spoke about previously, right? So they wanted to have a large set of ETV use cases. So we explained them that in Utunga we tried to insist that following this pyramid structure, having some use cases in integration level, some at ETE level, will improve the stability rather than focusing only on the web application level, right? So that is the process that we try to bring in place and add value for the client. So some of the popular integration testing tools that we have are Rest Assured, Kitlan Studio, Postman, and Ready API. So I'll not be talking in detail with all the tools, but I'll pick up the ones that are coming up rapidly or prominently. Rest Assured is a pretty famous and widely used integration test automation tool. So many people are aware of its pros and cons. It's also a BDD tool with a lot of community support. It's one of the vastly used test automation tool with Java. So many people will be knowing about it. Ketlon Studio is fast catching up, and one of the tools that I'll be discussing today. Postman. So Postman is a tool which everybody would have used, right? If you have worked on API testing, you would have used that tool for one or the other way. But we wouldn't have explored the automation part that it supports, right? Most of the time, we will be using it for the functional aspect. Right? I'll talk from the automation point of view as to how it will be helpful. Ready API is a uh, proprietary tool, but a very powerful tool with all the features that one requires in an API automation is in place. It can be easily added to CI/CD, and also has a setup wherein there's a test failure. It has an option to raise issues from the tool itself, which is a pretty unique way of handling things. So let me move on to uh, insights on Postman API tool. So Postman is a collaboration platform for API development, as everybody would know. So Postman features simplify each step of building an API. So any developer who works on the APIs, you would know and you would have heard them talking. They have been using Postman and it seems to be working fine with that. So whether you are a QA or a developer, you would have used Postman for API development or testing. But from the automation point of view, what are its advantages? So it supports REST, supports SOAP, it supports GraphQL, right? But it also supports Boolean test script automation. When we say Boolean test automation, what do we mean? So in the Postman application, you would have seen there is an option or a tab available called tests, wherein you can always add your own set of simple tests like checking the status code, validating the response data, basic tests, right? So this was one of the tool which we employed for the integration testing for our client in predictive analysis again, wherein we utilize Postman tool to automate some of the use cases using collections. So what do you mean by collections? So collections are the list of APIs that you have worked, whether it's get, put, post, delete, all API actions are actually made into a collections, and that collections you will be able to execute across places like in your app, in your cloud, in your local setup, wherever you want. There is another option in cloud which is available, is the monitor feature of Postman, which helps you run your test periodically as and when there is a change in your application code. So that is a very important feature. Postman also supports mocking, like if you you can mock a particular API which is not in place for a testing purpose, and you should be able to use the Postman mock service, which is very helpful. The wide range of headers, the body that Postman supports is one of its greatest advantages for anybody to go for Postman, not only for functional aspect, for test automation as well, is what I would like to convey. So execution of Postman can be done in app, as we said, in cloud. To pictorial represent, we are just adding the same thing. Other than that, we have a Newman tool, which is very helpful, and we can execute all the command line tools using Newman. We will be able to execute the tests. Moving on to Catalan Studio, this is built on top of Selenium Appium, and it's easy to install, and you have visual automation scenarios with UI capabilities, wherein you'll be able to maintain the BDT, like the setup, which will be helpful, and supports cross-platform testing as well. The positive aspect of Catalan is it supports web API, mobile, and desktop, which is very important. Now I'm only talking about the API point of view. It has a specific object repository wherein you can define all your URLs that you will be testing, the actions, and also the type of parameters that you want to use and things like that. Very useful tool. Try it out. You will have a different feeling once you try it out. It's a free version, so go for it. Then we come to the another aspect of E2E test automation, which is pretty useful. Even though we shouldn't be automating everything at E2E level, it is good to automate all the user-like scenarios over here, right? So we have to identify the proper test data, the test environments before we jump into E2E, write tools, and yes, come up with smart selection of page elements for web application. This we have employed in for one of the clients who was willing to have same tool for all the various applications that you wanted to automate, right? So we had employed all these methodologies where we requested our team to come up with proper selectors so that we can utilize it for a test automation. So some of the popular test automation tools are Playwright, Puppeteer, Cypress, and yes, Selenium is everybody would be aware of for web application. So let me go to Puppeteer first. So this is a tool developed by Google. It's pretty simple setup and good documentation. There are two ways of E2E automation, if you have noticed. One is wherein there will be a JavaScript which triggers in the browser for each user kind of action, and the other one is which is controlled from the dev tools. So all the latest tools are following the latter approach. So as a result, we have this extra power of bidirectional. Automating things like console logs and all are pretty easier these days than compared to the tools which are existing previously. Like with Selenium and all, the getting the console logs and network logs are still a challenge, whereas these tools are pretty helpful to handle. So this is again a JavaScript based tool from Google, so you can always get a lot of community support, right? So they're all asynchronous in nature. The calls are all asynchronous. It supports only Chrome and Firefox at this point of time. It supports all the basic and important test automation features like the headless mode, the screenshot, console log rendering. All these things are supported. Yes, the cons are, yes, it doesn't support parallel execution. More automation, more than test automation, it is of automation framework kind of a thing, because we have to find workarounds for some of the use cases like file upload feature and things like that, wherein we have to come up with some workarounds using JavaScript rather than the tool support. So this is about Google Puppeteer. Try it out; it's a good tool. Then we have a Playwright, which is built on top of Puppeteer. So whatever drawbacks Puppeteer had, Playwright has actually managed to overcome those. The overall structure remains the same. It is developed by Microsoft, though. The team is people who worked in Puppeteer actually came up with Playwright, is what we know. So they support more browsers than what we get to see in Puppeteer. So there's a WebSocket connection between the browser and the tool, which makes the life easier for the test execution part, right? So then we have some of the salient features. It has an excellent way of identifying the elements on the web application. Support shadow DOM, so things which are not visible on the web application are some things which are like working with some invisible items which appear after clicking or tapping something, or challenges that everybody faces. So to handle elements related to shadow DOM, Playwright is the answer, right? And also to wait for elements to available automatically, Playwright is something. There is no need to hard code waits, which we generally do in automation, which is bad practice. So these things will help us improve our test automation. Solid network validations and network mocking. Again, the mocking concept is supported by these tools. All modern tools are supporting, which is good. This is also open source, which is an advantage. Supports more browsers, Safari, Chrome, and Firefox. But there are some cons, as any tool would have. It is still evolving. Documentation support is not up to mark. No support for IE, and parallel execution is still a challenge. Then we move on to Cypress, is again a JavaScript automation tool again for end-to-end testing, but it is one tool which all our major features, like it has Mocha, Jasmine, Karma, QUnit in it. All things that you do with Selenium, you can do with Cypress. That is also there. Assertion libraries are present. It supports wrappers of Selenium as well. So it supports Angular and React, which is a fantastic tool. Helps in debugging, automatic waiting, network control, screenshots, and videos. Cross-browser testing supports multiple browsers, Firefox, Chrome, and Edge and Electron. Every step snapshot is captured in its run mode, if you see. So it will be very helpful if you just install it. Very simple setup to install. Try it out. It's a good tool to have in your arsenal. There are some drawbacks, however. It lacks support for Safari and IE at the moment. Supports only JavaScripting for test cases. It's a challenge to work on iframes, but you can find a workaround that is there. And then we have multi-tab support, which is still a challenge with Cypress, but most of the things are in place. So important things are taken care by Cypress, right? So finally, we have a comparative study as what are the important things that each tool supports from the E2E tool point of view. If you look at the parameters with comparison to Selenium, which I haven't covered here because it's a pretty popular tool, like most of you would have used the tool. So I just don't want to spend more time over there. So that is the reason I haven't taken up Selenium over here. Playwright, Puppeteer, Cypress are really giving a tough run for people working with Selenium only. They can try and utilize these tools as well, is what I would say, because some of the features that these tools are providing are unique, and it's good to explore, and it's time to explore other tools as well in E2E space. Then moving on, I'd like to touch base upon one of the proprietary tool that we have is Testim, an AI-powered automation tool. This is a new tool, but it has a fantastic feature of record and playback. So you can generate scripts after your record and playback using TestIM. Supports various languages. You can record. I have never seen any record and playback tool as good as Testim with my personal experience. It's available for free trial. Try it out. It has a very good debugging support, easy to connect to any CI/CD, and video captures are good. Screenshot captures are good. Visual validation is available. You can parameterize your tests. So anything that you want in your test automation, I think Testtime has the solution for it. But it's a proprietary tool, but it comes, but the cost is something that it comes along with this. But it has a lot of good features. Try it out in free trial mode just for your understanding and knowledge purpose. Test Complete is another proprietary tool which we had used for one of the client in our use cases when we said he wanted to have one common tool across platforms. We had worked on this using Test Complete. It supports distributed testing. It also supports record and playback. But it is for the Microsoft environment, and C hash was used for the client. Test visualizer support is there. Scripted testing is also supported along with the record and playback, which is very helpful, right? So once you have all your test automation in place, so what is that last thing that one requires in to accelerate the whole release process is the CI/CD. So once you have your test automation in place, CI/CD is something that you have to consider and identify a small subset of tests rather than pushing across all your tests. Make sure you have your sanity test for your build promotion and regression tests for your nightly builds. So what gets promoted, all the important tests can be run in the nightly build, but every push should be run against some useful tests starting from unit, integration, and E2E. If somebody says E2E is not required, if somebody says integration is not required, we have enough points to say that we are definitely adding value with our automation test cases. So last, I'll just leave you with snapshot of all the important tools that we have in market other than what I discussed now. So we have Ranorex, we have Cucumber, we have SpecFlow, we have Appium for mobile, Protractor for Angular applications, Sickly, Apply tools for usability related testing, SOAP UI, Sauce Labs, and Browser Stack are the infrastructure providers. Actually, you can run your tests against multiple platforms, various browsers. These are some of the advantages that both Sauce Lab and Browser Stack provide. I haven't read the Browser Stack snapshot over here. Sorry for that, but yeah, and unified functional testing, which is pretty popular. And yeah, these are most of the test automation tools which you should explore. Even though they are proprietary, try working on the trial mode, try to explore, try understanding it, and add all the important use cases. So we at Uttunga actually followed all the important aspects of the discussion which we had today, right? Whether it is unit testing, integration testing, or E2E, to provide proper solution to most of our clients. Happy testing is what I would say. Do automation; it will definitely increase your increase the speed of your release cycle for sure. Any questions?
Thank you, Nandan. The platform is open for questions from your side. I request the attendees to please use the Q&A icon on your left-hand side of the screen to please input your questions.
Okay, I have some questions. Okay, sure. So let me pick a couple of them first. So since Selenium had more scores compared to other tools, why should we use something new? Fine. So yes, Selenium has plenty of scope and positives. I'm not saying no to it, but there are some pain points as well if you are using Selenium, right? So like you have to wait for a particular element, the amount of time that you spend in coming up with the framework and test setup is pretty painful. So these things will help you improve your knowledge and also the speed of the test that you write. So it's always good to explore new things rather than sticking with one tool all the time. For manual tester, how to start and learn test automation? So first of all, I would tell you, go and try out some record and playback tool. Many tools support automation, so try and use the record and playback. It generates a script. Okay, the record and playback tools generate a script. You get to know how that script was created. After that, you will understand and start writing your own scripts, because you can start improving the record and playback scripts, and that is how you can always improve. Okay, is the saturation for automation has come up now? And if yes, then what is the future of automation? See, there is always scope for automation. There is no doubt about it. And the scope is increasing, if you ask me. So the saturation hasn't reached yet. There's a lot of options, right? I said we can start contributing to unit testing. We can always add more integration tests. Yes, it will. You will feel that the scope is reducing if you tend to stay away from unit testing, right? You should explore and start contributing at unit test level and integration test rather than sticking only with E2E tests. So the future is bright for automation. Nothing to worry about it. So are these tools specific to web-based development, or some of them can also be used for embedded products? It depends on the application that you are trying to automate. So if it is having a web interface, or if there is an integration through some API or things like that, you can always automate. So it is not it's not only web-based development. It can be explored for embedded as well. And Utunga has been providing solutions on those lines as well. Can you explain self-healing? Okay, so I think I used this term while explaining smart locators in Playwright, I guess. Self-healing is one important feature. Like, uh, that tests generally fail in web automation when the locators change, right? So self-healing is a feature that most of the AI-based tools, right, whether it is Testim, which I discussed, and Ketron for that matter. So if there is any change in the locator that was different on the previous run, it suggests you what the locator should be now, because it has changed now. So this is some of the new features that has come up, which help you in picking up what is it helps you in fixing the flaky tests in a short span of time, right? Let me pick another question. Which open source tool is suitable for a manual tester to start automation test? Okay, fine. So these days, most of the web applications are developed using JavaScript, React, Angular are commonly used. So I would say try using Cypress a lot easier. Then you can check with Playwright or Puppeteer, good tools to start with. You can also start with Selenium. That should not be a problem. Yes, Ishan, I have answered most of them. You have anything to add?
Yeah, let's, due to the time constraint, I think, thank you for your questions and participation. There are a few other questions I think Nandan would like to take it up via email. So, if you have any other further questions, please email to us at contact@utama.com. I repeat, contact@utama.com. So, before we move on, let's have a poll question for 30 seconds. I request attendees to please select your options. Which of the following VNV services will you be interested in? So we have multiple choice: application testing, protocol testing, device testing, and security testing. We have got a very mixed response. So most of the people are looking forward for application testing and security testing. Thank you for your answers. Next slide. So up next, we have another webinar lined up for you on VNV, managing your ROI and TCO of VNV. This is on 8th of July 2021. In this webinar, we will cover how one can optimize their test process for cost and time. Testing process for cost and time. Please mark your dates. We will be sharing the registration link shortly. Do check out our YouTube channel. You can watch our already previously conducted webinars on other topics. Just search for Uttunga in the YouTube search bar. The first thing you see is us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can watch our all previously conducted webinars there. Next slide. With that, we have come to the end of the session today. Thank you everyone for your participation in the webinar. We hope this session has enhanced your knowledge on test automation tools. Uttunga, as a product engineering company, can help you build products and solutions from concept all the way to the lifecycle of the product. In case you have any other further queries, please feel to reach out to us at contact@uttunga.com. Finally, subscribe to our YouTube channel and do follow us on LinkedIn, where we share all our latest ongoing activities there. Thank you, everyone, and stay safe.